So here's the animation in question. And the most difficult thing about it is spacing. Everything moves smoothly and all at once. I guess we all can agree on that. So let's start with checking the poses. So here's the reference. And our first pose is not as dynamic as the one on the reference. So let's break it down. The back is all good and straight. She's stretching one of her legs and she is sitting on the other one. And as you can see, it's quite significantly bent. You can tell that if you pay attention to the shadow. The leg which is stretched out goes a little bit sideways, just a bit. It's facing inwards a little, and as you can see, it's rotated on the heel. So that's the chest orientation. And when it comes to arms, they appear to be much more straightened on the reference. The right one in particular. The left arm, although facing us, still appears to be more stretched. Something like so. And that's where the hands appear to be. The head is tilted a bit differently in the reference. It feels like it's not tilted to the right as much. So we shift the weight fully onto the right foot. Just move the whole body, really. Pay attention to how the knee and the hip are positioned in the reference. So in the second pose, here's the right leg, which is behind. The left one is now slightly bent. And to match this pose, I would give the back a little bit more of a curve. Something like so. Also rotate the chest slightly. Yep, and straighten the arms a little. Adjust the head position. I think the arms should be even lower. Something like this. And move the body even lower. And show that the left foot is raised on its toe. Make sure that from this point of view the heel is visible and is raised. Now onto the next pose. So what she does, she's raising her left knee way up. I'd rather not straighten the leg that much. The pose is almost correct. Maybe you want to turn the body just a bit. I'd probably rotate and lift the leg even more. But now it's too much, yeah. And now the arms. And on to the next pose. The line of the arms does not seem to match. The left arm appears to be more over here. And to make the pose even more dynamic, I would move the other one back. Also, move the whole body down slightly, so the knee is bent. I'm not sure about this one, but it kind of feels like you want to rotate the hips. Rotate the left hand and probably stretch the right arm just a bit. And on the contrary, move the left elbow down slightly. I'll pull the hand just a little bit closer to the body. Now we want to align the arms and the leg in a way that the lines would meet at a single point. So let's go. So we raise the clavicle bone here and lower the other one. Something like so, and on to the next pose. So again, shift the weight a little bit onto the right foot. Maybe open the leg a little bit more. Move it to the left slightly. Adjust the body rotation so it appears a bit more upright. The right arm is a bit more straightened and raised. Maybe I do raise the clavicle bone a little bit too much again. Now just the left hand. Move the elbow down. Now adjust the position of the whole body slightly, so the center of mass would actually be fully on the right foot. Something like so. Check the center of mass to see if the weight is distributed correctly. Now in the next pose, I will fix the rotation of pelvis a little. This just doesn't look pretty. This way looks more natural. Tilt the body forward a little. And a bit to the left. Tilt the pelvis a little bit more, so we raise the hip, and straighten out the back, because the back is almost straight there. Move the head a bit sideways while locking the neck. And that should be it. Now in the next pose, we can clearly see that the body is actually leaned forward, so we've done it correctly, and the legs bend quite a lot. Moving on, notice where the center of mass is. She's standing on her right foot. The left leg is raised a bit. And to make sure that the center of mass is on the right foot, we have to move the body. Notice how it's positioned in the frame. Also, pay attention to the line of the hands in this frame. So raising one shoulder and lowering the other. Also tilting the body here. Looking from the side here, fix the back, same way we did previously. Again, not too much, but make sure that the back is straight. Now for the next pose. Okay, so there's two separate frames in which the foot makes contact with the ground. So let's mark the very first one. So in this pose, the pelvis is rotated, partially because the weight is still on the right foot. So as we stretch the leg to the side, the body still leans the opposite way, and that creates this line here. Now this is a rough sketch, but we make sure that we have this line here. Keep the head down. The chest here seems to be rotated a bit more. And again, looking from the side here, make sure you keep the center of mass aligned with the right foot. Thing is, so if you move her back here, the center of mass would be concentrated mostly on the heel. But generally, you would want to keep it roughly in the center of the foot. Arch the back just a little. And adjust the shoulders. Now remember, on this frame, the foot just touches the ground for the first time. When in the next pose, she almost fully rests on it. Now, we don't really know the exact way the pelvis is rotated. I guess we'll find out. But the knee seems to be positioned above the hips. The back appears to be very arched here, towards the camera. We can definitely tell this looking at the position of the chest. And in this particular pose, something that we're looking for is this line here. So we take the pelvis, rotate it, and lean the body forward. Adjust the knee. Now we arch the back. I kind of want to rotate the chest a little bit more here. So from the top down view, I want to get something like so. So the position of the shoulder here is a bit tricky, because this pose looks rather extreme. Let's add some strain to the arm, because it appears to be rather stretched out. She seems to hold her hand very close to her belly. And the elbow looks down. And finally, we can adjust the head. She might be sitting even lower here, but it seems like we might be losing the line here. So we fix the pelvis, now we fix the elbows. It kind of feels like there's too much of an arc there, so we might want to straighten it out. So the blocking is done, now onto the spacing. So what we have now is a very smooth animation, too smooth really. We don't have accelerations or decelerations, so we need to make some additional keys. I would avoid using linear interpolation really, use Bezier clamped instead. In this interval, I believe Bezier interpolation is the best because it gives you the most slow in and slow out effect more than any other interpolation type. But keep in mind that on bigger intervals, simple Bezier method may add a lot of garbage to the animation. So you don't want to use it everywhere, just on the intervals that you want to specifically emphasize. So here, for instance, to make sure that the foot remains in place, you want to use Bezier clamped. And on the intervals where you want more movement or more overlaps, you use simple Bezier. So let's see what she does here. Pay attention to the leg and the hips. The way I see it, her knee reached the top position while her hip continued to move up. So here we want to keep the foot on the ground longer. So we put the key just on the legs there. The same way, reach the highest position before the hips do. Now onto the next one. As the leg straightens, the hips don't seem to move, so the pelvis remains still. She does seem to lose the balance slightly, so she bends her knee. And when she loses her balance, her pelvis seems to move a little, more to the right and towards the camera. And so, once all the keys are set and done, we can then adjust the timings to make sure that the animation actually looks good.